And for more on the meetings in Belarus, I'm joined by Lilit Gevorgyan. She is a specialist on Russia for IHS Global Insight. Thank you so much for joining us. First, I'd like to get your reaction to the meeting in Minsk. Are you optimistic that something significant could come out of it?
I don't think there is any ground to expect that there will be a breakthrough. The only positive news is probably the fact that the two presidents have shaken hands, and perhaps in the coming months there will be further meetings. I'm slightly more optimistic about a joint effort on humanitarian aid for the affected areas in eastern Ukraine. But other than that, I don't think that the Ukrainian and Russian presidents are ready for a serious compromise.
But still, as you mentioned, a step in the right direction with meeting in person. President Vladimir Putin has said that he was ready to exchange opinions at this meeting, but the EU will also have some people representing them here. Do you think that will help or hurt the situation by having EU representatives around?
I don't think at this stage EU can have a negative role. I think it's the mediation is quite positive. EU is also a very much interested party. The European bloc has already imposed sanctions against Russia due to be reviewed by the end of October. The European Union member states would like the de-escalation of the crisis to happen sooner rather than later, so that they don't go for further sanctions, because this is also hurting the European economies. On the other hand, the energy supply issue is something that concerns the European Union. So obviously it's an interested party, and also EU is there to make sure that Russian side is much more flexible towards Ukraine, although I don't think that they will be successful in this regard.
I want to get your thoughts on what's been happening or continuing in eastern Ukraine while these talks have been taking place. Ukraine has captured 10 Russian soldiers as some of its own military were killed near the border. Do you think this could be a turning point in a plan to find peace, or is this just more of the same?
I don't think this is anything sort of significant or a turning point. The Russian side has clearly downplayed the incident, saying that it was a mistake and there was no resistance when the soldiers were captured. And the bottom line is that it seems to be the completely different view as to how the conflict should be resolved. The Ukrainian side insists that there has to be a military defeat to separatists. The Russian side insists that there has to be talks, and this is the bottom line. Whether there have been crossing of borders, the Russians have claimed that the Ukrainians have crossed the border and they didn't make fuss about it. But ultimately, the talks that we're seeing now in Minsk are about sort of looking forward and seeing whether there can be a path to a peaceful resolution of this conflict.
All right, Lilit Gevorgyan from IHS Global Insight, thank you so much for joining us from London.